Thank you very much again for joining us. This will be our fourth and final workshop. It's been such a treat putting them together, meeting all the awesome speakers and learning so much more about just the world of e-commerce, online sales, marketing, everything like that. So thank you for those who have joined us. It's been great to have you here. Hopefully we will see you in the future. So again, for anyone that's why are we doing this? Well, we did a whole lot of research with the UK South Africa Tech Hub earlier this year, very much into interventions that were being run by various organizations across the world into how they're trying to combat COVID-19, not so much from a healthcare perspective and flattening the curve, but from a business perspective. So what were businesses doing and what did they need to do to really overcome this challenging period in history to be and this year and this whole business experience? And we found that one key area where they are struggling now is especially for business owners that have just moved online or very much the online world is underexplored, is how do you actually get yourself up and running in terms of marketing and sales in the online environment? And so that's what we've gone out and said to go do, and very much focusing on SMEs. They really are the lifeblood of the South African economy. They are they are the majority of businesses. They employ a significant amount of people. And so making sure that they get through this tough time, especially when they've got limited support structures, is really an important thing that we need to do. So telling you a little bit more about the UK South Africa Tech Hub. They are pretty much a UK mandated organization that forms part of the International Tech Hub Network. And this falls under the Department of Digital, Culture, Media and Sport in the UK government. Their whole role is to stimulate the tech ecosystem in South Africa, and they've got multiple hubs all over Africa as well. And they bring a whole load of expertise and connections and just experience towards making the tech ecosystem in every vertical and just entrepreneurship in South Africa to the next level. So yeah, through activities, entrepreneurs and founders acquire the skills, resources, and support they need to really turbocharge their entrepreneurship journey. So today, what we're going to be doing for our final workshop is looking at 3 digital tools to take your business to the next level. We've kind of gone with an approach where we've looked at what we've done previously, and we now want to dive a little bit deeper into certain tools that you can use. So drawing on from our digital campaigning and marketing workshop, we're going to be looking at Hootsuite. Now, Hootsuite is a social media management tool, but I'll let Ashley, who's going to be presenting on that, go a little bit more into it. It's not my area of expertise and definitely hers. Then we're going to be looking at WhatsApp, business WhatsApp, not WhatsApp for business, as I've been corrected, and very much looking at, what is mobile engagement with your potential customers and why is it important in South Africa, especially seeing as we're very much a mobile dominated environment. And then finally, we're going to be looking at digital bookkeeping. And that's where Andile, who's our third speaker, will be coming in and speaking about Intuit QuickBooks, which is very much a digital accounting software for small businesses that really helps them with their efficiency. And as always, we'll end with a nice Q&A session where if you have any questions, we'll answer those. Please feel free throughout the entire session. Please post any questions that you may have in the chat. I will then be collecting them all together, and feel free to direct them at someone or at everyone or whatever it is. Any questions are welcome. As my teachers and lecturers at university would say, there are no silly questions. So please feel free to ask anything you like. On that note, just going through some of the rules of the webinar, please ensure that you keep your microphone and video off unless you're a speaker and you're actually presenting, then we would very much like it to be on. This just makes sure that no one gets interrupted, no one gets their train of thought disturbed, and we can all just hear and we all just have a great experience. Also, just for the benefit of others who are watching the recording later on, it just means that if there's anything important that you may have missed, you can go back and you can get all the information clearly. And again, feel free to answer the questions, and we will be uploading the recording to YouTube and sending you all the link as soon as it's there. So our first speaker today is Ashley Jacobs. She is very much a passionate member and team leader and product lead for Africa for Hootsuite at Uno. They're a reseller of the world's best social and marketing intelligence technology within the African market. And using her digital marketing experience, she consults and nurtures her prospects and clients to succeed in their social objectives. Ashley will be looking at Hootsuite, our first speaker for the day. Our second is Pommy Lachman. He is the founder and CEO of Ocular Technologies, and they're a specialist customer engagement and digital experience solutions provider based in South Africa. He's got a pretty long-standing career. He is, as he says, the founder and CEO of the 17-year-old startup. And his career spans a quarter of a century, and he's played an integral role in the business development and integration service divisions at Siemens Enterprise Networks. And he was also instrumental in the implementation and management of the MultiChoice distributed call center network in the late 1990s. So he's very much clued up into how you do the whole customer engagement and experience and taking it into the new world and into the future. Our last speaker is Andile, and he is the Senior Service Delivery Manager at EasyBiz Technologies. They are the preferred local partner to Intuit QuickBooks, the global leader in accounting software specializing in SMEs. He's an app fanatic, and he's got a passion for enabling SME productivity services that help entrepreneurs focus on being an entrepreneur. And he's a specialist in cloud accounting software and has a keen interest in discovering innovative ways to do business. So without any further ado, we're just going to jump into it because I know time is tight. Each speaker will have about 20 minutes, but people may go under, people may go over. But if we do start rolling over and we need to cut it short, I will just be jumping in to help keep things on a tight ship. I know everyone's busy, especially this time of year. But let's jump into it. So Ashley, I'm going to ask if you can take control and share from your side, and then I will mute myself as soon as you're ready to go.
Sure. Can you guys see my screen?
Can see it on my side.
Great, great. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. That was really amazing. Thank you, Dylan. And thank you so much for the today. Okay, guys, so I'm really passionate about using tools to enable me to work smarter and better. So I'm hoping today I can show you why social media management technology is fundamental for business owners. So let's start off with another quick introduction. I have about 10 years experience with guiding brands and business owners to making smarter decisions on social and digital media. Currently, I'm growing my Hootsuite team across Africa. And that leads us to where we are today. I'll be speaking to you about a couple of these points over here, mostly about social media management technology. What is it? Thereafter, Hootsuite and the value that Hootsuite can give you. And then after a couple of slides, we're going to go straight into the Hootsuite platform, where I'm going to show you a couple of fundamental actions that are really going to help you to sell online. So let's start with social media management, the term. So social media management actually hasn't been around for all too long. If you consider how long social networks have been around, many of us didn't have social media growing up. So something very important for every single business to enable and to work within is social marketing. Without social media management and social marketing, you're actually self-sabotaging all your other efforts for your business. And that's really because without social media management, you're allowing your competitors to take over your market share. Social media is the #1 cheapest and easiest marketing tactic you can use to set yourself aside from everyone else. So what does social media management mean? It's the process of managing your online presence on social media. It's an always-on daily activity that business owners need to engage in. So as a business owner with lots on your plate, how do you manage your online presence better? Well, with technology. Social media management tech enables you to manage your online presence by using software to make your job easier, saving you heaps of time. While the technology can do tons of different things, like social listening as well, these 4 points remain at the core of the technology. This is essentially what we're going to be uncovering today. So the ability to consolidate all your social profiles into one dashboard, to be able to publish and schedule content across all your networks, to be able to engage with consumer queries across all networks, and lastly, probably the most important part of it is the reporting. So let's quickly go a little bit deeper into each of these points. Publishing and scheduling forms part of your planning process. It helps brand awareness as well as the education about your products or services. This needs to be happening on a regular basis. So perhaps a couple of times a week, you should be putting out messaging across your social networks. Engaging with customer queries. So while you're doing social marketing, you're not only speaking to your audience by publishing content, but you're also allowing them to engage with you. Hence, it's important to respond to queries across channels. This will essentially help you pick up your orders as well. My favorite, the reporting side of things. Reporting on a tech enables you to be more strategic with your sales and marketing strategy. It allows you to gather insights like what social network brings you the most ROI? What type of content does your audience want to see? And are you growing your fan base? So we understand the grounds of social media tech and why you need it, but let's chat about the world's favorite platform, and that is Hootsuite. So Hootsuite's been around for about 12 years. It's actually one of the oldest social media management tech platforms out there. It's also why it's one of the biggest out there with over 8 million users worldwide. It's a crazy amount, 8 million worldwide, insane. It's also a multiple award winner. Hootsuite wins awards every year, hands down, as being a leader in the industry. It has its own online educational portal, which is really amazing if you're trying to learn the ropes of social media, social marketing, and even digital marketing. And also it has its own mobile app, which is super important because you can be working anywhere and still have a good view on what's happening on your business's accounts. So I really enjoy Hootsuite for the amount of effort they put into the education aspect of things, and the resource center on their website is probably one of the most valuable assets you guys can use. So I really recommend that you go check it out. Hootsuite makes it super easy for you to learn about social marketing by providing tons of templates, case studies, blog posts, and more or less anything about how to do social marketing right. I'll show you guys an article that I'd like you guys to download afterwards. So I suggest you spend some time going through this, as some of the most valuable assets are some templates that provide you with strategy help out. So how do you do your 2021 marketing strategy, for instance, or sales strategy for social marketing, as well as things like social content calendars for planning. Okay, so let's spend some time on going through the actual platform. I'm going to log into my environment shortly and show you some of the key aspects that's going to help you navigate through all of the stuff I'm talking about. We're going to be focusing on the 3 pillars, which is publishing content and planning that content, how to respond to consumer messages, as well as how to pull a report to be more strategic. So when you first log into Hootsuite, you see the dashboard as is. This is kind of a newspaper view, I like to call it. It's imagine waking up in the morning, drinking your cup of coffee and scrolling through the newspaper. In this instance, you're scrolling through Hootsuite streams. So this provides you a really great view, a 360-degree view of what's happening across your branded social profiles. As you can see over here, we have some Facebook pages connected, Instagram, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. So you can connect pretty much any social network, well, actually, yes, any network other than TikTok, we don't have that yet, to Hootsuite so that you can manage everything from one dashboard. And that's really where Hootsuite's driving to go, is just to provide everything you guys need from one tab over here. So now when we log in and you want to plan your content, you want to be talking about your products and services, you're going to go through to this post over here. You're going to choose which network you'd like to post to. In this instance, I'm going to choose all of them. You're going to add in your copy. Maybe we want to add in another emoji. And then we're going to upload our assets to this. So now you can either upload your assets this way, or if you need help with some images, you're able to use Hootsuite's free library. This makes publishing for you about your products and your services super, super easy, and really there's no excuse not to do so. So once we have our asset over there, we can get a preview of how our content is going to look across every social network. Now, I've got 2 options. I can either choose to publish this across everything right now, or I can choose to schedule this content for later. Perhaps I want to schedule it when a sale is about to go off, or on a special day, a public holiday, for instance. I am going to choose to schedule this next week, Tuesday at 8 a.m. There we go. Once done, I click the big yellow button and it's done. Now, what does it mean to schedule content? Well, it means that you don't have to post the content yourself. So no matter where you are next week Tuesday or on that public holiday, for instance, at least you have peace of mind that your consumers and your audiences are being spoken to. We can see over here that if you want to plan your content in advance, which is always a good idea, especially coming up with a festive season now, we can see that next week we've got the following content pieces going out. We've got one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We can see what those assets are. We can open that up. We've also got the ability to edit this. Now, what if you're working with different individuals? Maybe you've got a big team that has access to this. You're able to log in and see what other people have scheduled in advance for these social channels, but you're also able to see what content requires your approval. So this is super useful if you have maybe an agency or maybe a copywriter, a marketing person, or even an intern creating content for you. You're able to choose what goes on your branded social accounts. Another huge winner for clients of Hootsuite is the ability to connect with different apps. So now having different apps connected to Hootsuite helps you out and saves heaps more time. For instance, with Google Drive, if you have all your creative assets, stored on a cloud, for instance, you can connect Google Drive to your Hootsuite dashboard and have everything pull through automatically. But what if you're a small team and you don't necessarily have a designer or someone to help out with creating posts? Well, by integrating with Canva, you're able to create quick social media posts that's not holding you back in any way. In this instance, I'm going to show you how we can create a Facebook post. We're going to use a free asset over here. I can edit this template now with my information about my product, service, or company. Edit that. I can add more images. I can change the color of this post, for instance. You really have a very quick template for you to use, which is super, super amazing. So we're going to just choose this as is for now, and we're going to upload that. Once this is uploaded, so you've created your asset using Canva, it's going to be uploaded over here, and then immediately you can post this to your social networks. Very, very convenient. And it works the same way how it will work publishing other posts. Okay, so we've spoken a little bit about how to publish content. From the section over here, you're also content. So now you are posting about a new product or service coming through. You've planned that for Monday. If you want to spend money behind it, basically means by spending money behind the post, you're pushing it to a wider audience, making sure that your engagement, reach, and clicks is higher than it would be otherwise. We call this paid advertising, and without putting money behind a post, your post is organic. Now with Facebook, Facebook makes it a bit tricky because Facebook has organic reach, which is known to be quite low. So good for you guys to be able to use this ability over here to post your content, plan your content, but also to promote your content. Now, what if our consumers are talking to us, right? So now we've got a couple of comments that are coming through across all our social media networks. We don't want to have to go to each network, open it up, and respond manually that way. It's going to take a lot of time, right? So using this view over here, you can see all of your consumer queries coming through in one go, one workflow. You're able to respond to requests about your products, price lists, or further information. It's really easy to manage these consumer queries. You'll simply add in your response over here. Alternatively, you can also use a saved reply. We can send this and mark this as resolved, therefore cleaning it from this workflow. Super, super easy to manage, and it makes it quite productive to go through everything as well. So that's very straightforward. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but I do want to show you my favorite section. So how do you be more strategic with your social marketing efforts? So going through to the analytics, the reporting view, we're able to see a couple of different options that Hootsuite provides to us. Firstly, we have the view to have quick views over here, but we also have the view of creating a report. So the report functionality is probably one of my favorite ones over here. Hootsuite creates automatic template reports for you to build up your insights for the month or the day or the quarter, whatever it may be. We take these metrics from the social networks itself, but connect it all in one dashboard. So you're saving a lot more time from having to go into each network and try to see what's happening in that regard. So over here, we're going to use the mixed overview template. We scroll down a little bit more over here. And the reason why this is my favorite is because it provides us an overall view across every single network. Create the report, and the report is built for you. As we can see over here, we're going to change this to a monthly report. I can now choose to share this report with my investors, my business partners, or even just my teammates. I'm going to give Lebo a chance to edit this report. But I also have the ability to schedule this report on a monthly basis or to export this via PDF. So now, once we're looking at the report, we can see every social network has pulled through, and we can see a couple of different stats around here. First of all, we can see the growth of this account. If I want to see how much improvement my social pages have shown from November versus October, I can do so over here. So this is really great for benchmarking and seeing if you guys are improving on a monthly basis. So first of all, we can see very easily that in this regard, in this instance, that LinkedIn is the most valuable asset to a business at this stage. LinkedIn, for has the largest fan base. However, usually what you see in brands in South Africa, Facebook. Facebook tends to dominate. It's usually Facebook, followed by Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But this is obviously depending on what industry you're in. If we scroll down a little bit more, we're able to see how many posts were published across the social platforms, as well as the engagement of those posts, traffic like clicks to website, for instance, and lots more information for you. So all of this has really been built for you. It's really, really easy to do so. You can build a report in 10 seconds, share it with whoever needs to see it, and track your data and your performance on a monthly basis. Another view, which is super useful as well to consumers, is looking through at the post performance tab over here. Now we can see the top performing content per each social network. So if I know that I've been spending a lot of time on Facebook for marketing my products, I can see which post is getting the highest traction from my consumers. Now, choosing which posts, there's a couple of different metrics that we can use for choosing which post is doing really, really, really well. But generally speaking, across the board, a lot of people look at the engagement rate to see whether a post was successful or not. And what you want to be looking for is the highest engagement rate possible. So if I look at Facebook posts over the last 30 days, I can quickly see that these two posts at the top have a very high engagement rate. Over here, this is about a webinar that's coming up with the CEO of Global Web Index. And over here, we can see a trend report that's about to be launched. So it's easy for us to see that our fans on our Facebook page are more interested in seeing things like reports and trends, as well as webinars, than perhaps information about Black Friday and the stats around it. Now, obviously, if the same content was posted by another page or another business completely, we might be seeing something different. But this is just telling us how our audience on Facebook likes to engage with us. Very, very impressive. We can also see across all the different networks what resonates with each. So this is really important for you to understand a little bit more about how people want to see your products or services online, but also what kind of content people would like to see. Maybe it's a webinar, maybe it's a report, maybe it's an infographic or a video. It's really great to track this on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis at times to see what people think. Okay, so there's a couple of other reports over here, but this is included in the basic Hootsuite plan. So Hootsuite has a couple of different options for people to sign up. If you scroll all the way over here, you can see a list of options. I usually recommend people to try out the free plan, which will get you set up on the basic ABCs of Hootsuite. So how do you publish? How do you engage? And how do you do the basic reporting work? But if we scroll through over here, back to the Hootsuite URL, the resources tab over here has so much valuable content for you guys to use. You can see over here, there's blog posts, guides, webinars, toolkits, case studies, white papers, research, as well as a social ROI calculator. Now, all of this is quite a lot, and I think it's literally like thousands of content pieces that are available, but every single piece is provided to you guys to help you with your daily social marketing efforts. So instead of trying to figure out how to do a social media strategy from scratch, you're able to use a template that makes it super easy for you. Regarding today's call, I feel like this topic over here would be super interesting for a lot of people to have a look at. So you're welcome to go through to the resources tab over here, search for this topic, transform your business with social media, and download the playbook. There we go. Super easy, super straightforward, and nothing holding you back. So that is it for today's quick session. I'm standing by for the Q&A that we'll be having at the end of the call, but I hope that there's lots of questions that have come through because I'm super happy to show you more.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ashley. I mean, I already had some questions myself, and we did have a couple of questions come through by email in advance with regards to like scheduling and also just like free versions versus paid for versions. But yeah, no, super fascinating. I see we'll probably, Sean also really enjoyed it. I'm really glad to hear that, Sean. Like I said, we'll get to some questions at the end, but I think, Pommy, if you want to quickly now jump and share your side, and then we can just plot ahead. More time at the end, Maria, for more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ashley. That was really insightful. You guys can see my screen, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Great. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the digital tools which we market under a blanket or umbrella term called digital self-service. And the understanding is that there are many tools that people are using on a day-to-day basis. And what we've done as a technology provider is enable those services to be able to come into your environment as a channel. The traditional channels obviously being phone, voice, email, and chat. And now what we're doing is we're using text-based solutions. And I have a couple of logos up there that we've integrated to WhatsApp for Business, WhatsApp itself, Messenger in the middle, Telegram, and even WeChat. So any text-based solution is what we're going to be talking about today, but I am going to be concentrating on WhatsApp for Business. So this is very quickly. Ocular has been around for, I think, what seems to be a lifetime. I founded the company back in October of 2003. I think we have someone that's unmuted. Dylan. And yeah, I've been in this industry, in the customer engagement industry for 25 years, probably as old as some of the people on the call. But our focus as a company has always been around contact center management and optimization suites. We are a cloud hosting provider as well as a cloud integrator. We work with all of the big boys such as AWS. We have our own data center up in Terraco in Isando. And then we also developed a few of our own solutions. We have a 100% cloud-based contact center solution, which we host in South Africa. We have under 30 large customers that are operating on that platform. And then something which I'm going to talk about right at the end of the session is a cloud self-service solution, what people would normally understand as chatbots. And we've built a really unique solution with IBM Watson to use a bit of AI and machine learning around that. That's our history. But what we are going to talk about today is about engagement, customer engagement using the new generation messaging technologies. Some interesting facts today, the world we live in, 89% of consumers today are annoyed when they have to either repeat themselves about the same issue or don't get through to the person on the other side, even though they're speaking the same language. So that's something we try and circumvent by using text-based solutions. And then when we start adding AI and machine learning around that, it actually becomes quite a unique solution. Some of the reasons why we would use self-service, we look at the reason a business would be having customers that are frustrated with the service. For those that don't know what an IVR is, so when you phone your bank and you put in your credit card number, or you phone my ex-employer MultiChoice and you put in your smart card number, that system that is answering you is called an IVR system. But some of the reasons for frustration is you go through the entire process, You get authenticated, then your call drops right at the end. Or you go through and it says that your wait time to get through to an agent is 20 or 25 minutes. Or similarly, you've put in all of your details, you get through right at the end of the IVR, and you get a nice after hours announcement, sometimes during office hours. So these are some of the frustrations we can actually do with automated messaging and digital messaging. I heard in Dylan's introduction for the speakers on DLA loves apps. I mean, not so much. I think one of the reasons is apps are purpose-built entities, and they have their place. You know, if you need to do your internet banking, the easiest place you can do it is your banking app. But I'll give you another example. I'm a long-standing customer of a large mobile provider. I went overseas 1 year, and within the first 5 minutes of me landing in Heathrow, it told me my data was out. So what did I do? I downloaded their app so that I could see what was going on with my data. I can honestly tell you I've never opened that app again, and that was probably about 5 years ago. So an interesting stat is 43% of app users abandon the app after just one use. And I think it's slightly higher in South Africa because people tend to use messaging and or voice platforms a lot more than going through an app. Some interesting stats, what's happening around in the world. More than 6 of the top 10 most used apps today are messaging apps. It's your WhatsApp, WeChat, Messenger, now Telegram, people are using in South Africa and globally as well. And I'll speak about this a little bit later as well, but what's important when we are busy doing integration with messaging channels, we've developed a component called context continuity. And what it is that if you start a conversation, for example, on Facebook, not Facebook Messenger, but the Facebook page, and you want to continue that conversation via a DM in the Facebook Messenger app, we like to retain that context. We like to know what it is that you are calling about, that you are talking about, or maybe you're already engaged with somebody in the brand. Similarly, if you started a conversation in Facebook Messenger, but then you've escalated it to a human warm body, we want to transfer that context over to the user that you're going to be speaking to. And that blanket term is called context continuity. It's making sure that the conversational element of your messaging stays intact. So we build solutions around context continuity as well. And this, I actually had a look up yesterday. 100 billion messages alone are sent on WhatsApp every day. And that's more than 5 times the peak global traffic of SMS. And the reason why I have the little asterisk on it, the last time I did this presentation or the slide was 3 years ago, and that figure was 60 billion, and it was also WhatsApp and Messenger. So that just shows you the power of WhatsApp and where WhatsApp has gone to in terms of their reach and in terms of their output. The other thing is also important. I spoke about context continuity, and gone are the days when if you wanted to buy a specific product, say you wanted a pair of Levi jeans, you went to your local store, you went to an Edgar's store, you fitted the pair of jeans on and you walked out with it. Today, the consumer today does what we see on the screen now. They browse a community forum. I mean, there's tons of Facebook communities now available. They go to the Facebook page, and then, on the Facebook page, there's a company website, etc., etc. They may speak to a user, highly unlikely, more likely that they would go to a store if they wanted to try something on. But the idea is that if all of these things are connected, we're not really concerned about the colored circles or the colored dots. What we are concerned about in the messaging world is the black lines. Is how do you connect all of these things using the context? For example, if someone has browsed your Facebook page and then moved over to the website, is there a way of us identifying that? And as you guys know, security has become a big thing. Most browsers are now preventing you from storing cookies. That kind of throws this environment out the window, because that's how we maintain context. We use cookies in the digital world. But anyway, the point of the slide is the way that people communicate and the way that people consume is very different today than when it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. There's also this thing about the let me do it consumer. It's a thing about self-service. If I could find a way that I could self-publish my license disc for my vehicle by going onto a website, doing some biometric verification, and out of my printer pops my verified license disc, everybody would be doing it. And I think the mentality of that is the consumer wants to get things done at their own convenience. The consumer wants to dictate when, where, and how of communicating with organization. And as Ashley rightly showed, the way that you communicate with them should be the same as well. Give them the opportunity to dictate when and how they want to communicate with the brand. But then when they do, make sure that you are there to respond. Make sure that you are responding within context and within the topic. So that's really important for this "let me do it" consumer. And a lot of my fellow presenters would talk about this as being, the millennials and the Gen Zs. I can tell you, my 74-year-old mum is exactly the same. She wants to be able to do it herself. She wants to be able to do it now. Go onto the Discovery website to submit a claim, as opposed to phoning somebody or sending a fax, if fax machines still exist. Modern consumers as well, what do they want? They want a personalized, continuous, and context-aware dialogue. And when we talk about personalized, in other words, when someone contacts a brand that Ashley is monitoring through Hootsuite, you want to reply with it to say, "Hi, Pommy," as opposed to say, "Hi, customer." So that's the personalized component. It must be continuous. If you've contacted the brand 3, 4, 5 times in the last month, we want to know that you've done so. And maybe put some intelligence in there. We see you've contacted us 5 times in the last month. Maybe there's something we need to escalate for you. So make sure that the conversations are continuous. And then obviously context aware. If someone is contacting you about bad service, don't try and sell them a new product. Wrong context, wrong dialogue. So we want to make sure that we are storing all of those little pieces of information as much as we can. Second thing, consistency across your channels. In the social media space, you can see with tools like Hootsuite, you have the ability to maintain the same messaging across all of your platforms. In the messaging world, which is what we're talking about, not social media, but your IVR, the automated system that answers your phone call, should be the same as your chatbot, should be the same as your mobile app, and should be the same as your website. So if someone contacts you to want to ask them about a balance, a digital balance of your system, the questions that you ask should be the same. The responses should be the same. So that consistency across the channels is really, really important. And then accuracy when moving from self-service to live agent. We've realized that you could build a fantastic bot, a fantastic messaging engine, but then when you send it through to a live agent or the warm body has to ask the very same questions that the bot asked or the platform asked. And then you lose the enhancement capability of a bot. So you need to make sure that the data that you're sending across, that context-aware data, is consistent and accurate across all of your platforms as well. And then why do we use messaging before I get to the actual WhatsApp for Business or WhatsApp Business platform? This was a study that was done many, many years ago. And on the horizontal axis, you see that it's a graph plotted with regards to the channel. And on the vertical axis is the effort or the amount of time spent in that channel. And if we're working backwards, in other words, if you are a business or an entrepreneur or an SME that is offering a service for your customers to contact you, the most effort and the longest to get done is a phone call. And we're not talking about reaching you via phone, it's about resolving a query. So the reasons why phone call sits on this side of the spectrum in terms of effort is it's synchronous. In other words, you have to wait for something or someone to answer on the other end. So whether you're speaking to an automated system or whether you're speaking to a warm body, a human, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So it requires that the other person requires full attention. When you're sitting and talking on the phone, it requires your full attention. For example, you wouldn't take a customer service call if you're sitting in this meeting right now. It requires you to move your attention from this meeting over to your phone call. So in order of preference, the next one up would be apps. And again, I love apps, but they need to be purpose-built. If you have an app that its only function is for you to ask what your balance is on your data, or to ask whether you can log a service ticket with the municipality, it's a one-trick pony, right? You'll download the app, you'll install it, it needs to be updated by all of your stores, etc. But it'll give you a little bit more function than you could on a phone call. Most importantly, You can start the interaction on the app, and then you can get to it a little bit later. It's what we call as asynchronous messaging. But what if you don't want to do apps and you don't want to spend the money and the time and the effort on building an app specifically for your service? The next best thing, funnily enough, is SMS. And what we can do now with messaging, and this is now going on to the next session, next part of the session, which is the WhatsApp business thing. With SMS, it's an asynchronous messaging method. When we say asynchronous, is I can send a text to a brand or to a mate or to my wife now, and she can respond, or the brand can respond, or City of Joburg can respond, and I don't have to read it right now. So that capability where you can send not just that one message, but multiple messages, and each one of them runs in their own thread, and each one of them can be a completely different conversation, is what we term as asynchronous communication. What we have the ability to do now, however, is bi-directional SMS conversations. You can basically advertise to a customer, send your question to this 5-digit short code via SMS, and a person says, I'd like a home loan. And the response could be, these are the options that we have for home loans. We would need this information in order to proceed further. And that's a type of asynchronous conversation as opposed to just a messaging. I always talk about this in my talks, where a brand sends out informational SMSs, and the informational says, get your iPhone 11 Pro, this weekend at 20% off. Don't reply to this message. I mean, why would you start a conversation with somebody that you're standing around and say, I'm going to ask you a question, but don't respond to me right now. I don't want to know the answer. And that's kind of the logic that we use in terms of SMS. So now what we have the ability to do bi-directional SMS, and it's a capability that's available with us today. But what if you want a little bit more? What if you want that capability for bi-directional conversation, but you also want to add rich media? And when we're talking about rich media, we're talking about carousels for pictures, buttons, videos, all of that type of stuff. You're now entering the digital self-service messaging world. Again, it's asynchronous. I can start a WhatsApp conversation now. I can get a response from the brand, and then I can come to it hours, days later, and it'll still maintain that conversation, provided there's no timeouts, etc. The messaging apps that we are talking about, as I mentioned to them, it's WhatsApp, it's Facebook Messenger, it's Telegram, it's WeChat. All of these are already apps on your phones, and already apps on your customers' phones or potential customers' phones. So you're not necessarily forcing them to do something different. You're asking the same type of question as we did with SMS. Hi, I'm available on WhatsApp. Tell me what you want. I'd like to see your menu. Fine, here's a menu. It's rich text. It's a PDF, or it's a clickable menu item. You can then start having that conversation. And it's a one conversation that you can have with one person, or multiple conversations you can have with that same person. That's the benefit of asynchronous messaging. And then just very quickly, I'm just going to build a slide. Why is it so attractive? I mentioned some of them already. Personal, your cell phone, and by association, your WhatsApp number belongs to you. So the probability of me as a technology provider that is integrating into WhatsApp saying that that number is not POMI is highly unlikely. You might have multiple phones, but each phone has an identifier, which is your phone number. It's ubiquitous. Everybody's got it. There's a billion people using Messenger already. Many billions of people using WhatsApp and WeChat. So it's everywhere. So it's something that you're already using. I mentioned asynchronous. It is robust. You don't have to worry about speech recognition if you're using on voice. You don't have to worry about noise or accents, etc. Because unless a person figures out how to text with an accent, you're pretty much going to get what the customer wants via the text message. It's also persistent. So like I said, I can start the conversation now and I can get back to it a few hours later, and that conversation thread still stays and still maintains its consistency. It is consistent. It's one client. There's a central store of the messages, whether it's in the WhatsApp servers or WeChat servers or Messenger, etc. It's very consistent, and it's less intrusive. You can surreptitiously, while you're sitting in that meeting, respond to the WhatsApp about your municipality account. So you can do it. It's less intrusive. It's not going to affect you and not take your attention away. And then obviously it's quite secure if you're using things like iMessage, Messenger, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, etc. Identity is protected in the background, and depending on how much of security you want, we can add things like 2-factor and 3-factor authentication, which will then make your conversation a little bit more secure. So let's talk about tools, baby. WhatsApp for Business or WhatsApp Business. Is it a viable tool? Let's talk about it very quickly. WhatsApp Business is an app that you download from your app stores. It's available on iOS and on Apple App Store, and it's available for Android. It's free to download, but it's built with the business owner in mind. Makes it easy to personally connect with your customers. I'll show you why. And you can also at the same time highlight your products and services and answer questions about their shopping or their browsing experience. So you can basically create a digital store on WhatsApp Business. You can showcase your products. You have the ability to do a catalog, which I'll show you just now. And then also, if you don't want to use the basic WhatsApp Business capability, but you want to now start integrating multiple WhatsApp numbers and multiple WhatsApp profiles into your enterprise, we have the ability. We are WhatsApp integrator. We work with a company called Clickatel. And what we can do is we can use API capability to bring that into your call center system. So when it pops to your call center agent as a WhatsApp message. So now you are routing these high volume, for example, let's take DSTV an example, high volume WhatsApp messages into the same call center or customer service center that we would do voice, email, and chat. So it's a different app. It's not the WhatsApp Business app, but we have capability to do that as well. What else about WhatsApp Business? Let's look at some of the capabilities. You have the ability to do a catalog. So this is when you download the app onto your device. I've got a slide that shows you how to do that. You have the ability to create your brand, a little something about who Sandra's Cakes is, and then a catalog. And the catalog can be a product, it could be a service, it could be a managed service, whatever. Right? Entirely up to you what your catalog is. Second thing you can do is you build a business profile, and it's got helpful information like where you are, if you're a bricks and mortar environment. Sorry about that, I've got a phone ring here. Your business description, your contact email address and website, etc. So you can put that into the same app. You have the ability to do quick replies. So you basically set it up, and this is all done within the app. You see that the bottom section says quick replies on the screen. So if you do /1, it'll say welcome to Sandra's Cake. If you say /W, it will respond with what kind of cake you like. And you actually have the ability to draft all of these out yourself. It's not rocket science to do it. However, if you do come unstuck, there's guys like us that'll assist you to be able to do that. But you can very quickly respond to these answers. You also have the ability to categorize and classify your messages, where you can organize the people that are contacting you, just for ease of use. So you can give them color codes, and then when you're looking at all of the messages in the message screen, it'll tell you that this one's waiting for payment, this one is complete, this is a new customer, etc. So quite simple, but quite effective. You also have the ability to do automated messages, for example, an away message for after hours, an away message if your business is not working on a public holiday, etc. But again, it's a completely blank canvas. Even the greeting messages, you format it entirely how you want to. You can see Sandra decided to add the cake emojis and the cookie emojis. So entirely up to you. It's free form, and it gives you a good presence out there. And all you do is you then advertise the WhatsApp Business number or the WhatsApp Business icon, which you can do on a website quite easily. You can actually do, because Facebook owns WhatsApp, you can actually add it to your Facebook page now, where you can add a WhatsApp button and it'll come through to the same interface. And this interface sits on your mobile device. So how do you do it? Just very quickly, it's a few steps. First, you have to find out where the WhatsApp Business is available in your location, just for your benefit. Yes, it is available in South Africa, but also more importantly, if it's available for your mobile device. So like I said, Android and iOS is available in both stores. If you have any devices that are not part of that world, you just need to check whether the WhatsApp Business, it's actually called WA Business on most of the stores. You need to make sure that it's available for your device. You then have to select a number you want to use for the business profile. And this is where a lot of people come unstuck as well. You shouldn't select, even you download it on your personal mobile phone, which you can do, you cannot select the same phone number as you have your private WhatsApp number on. And the reason for that is it'll override your number with WhatsApp servers. So if you decide that the number, the moment you start up the app the first time, it says, what number do you want to register this business account with? You can give it a landline. You can even give it a landline of your company, as long as WhatsApp can call you on that number. So basically, when I put, Oculus, my company's number, I put in 0011 or 2711589320. I need to make sure that 3200 can be dialed from outside, from the US or from Europe. And as long as I can answer that phone call, it gives you a voice message code, which you then need to type into the app, and you're done. The nice thing about that is it can be any landline. If you've got a VoIP number, which is an 087 number, you can put that in. Again, the only prerequisite is that the number needs to be dialable from outside. So you select your number, you put your number into the profile, download the app, and once you open app, you need to verify, and that's the verify the business phone number that I spoke about. They will call you. WhatsApp will call you on that number. By the way, when you put the number in and it is a mobile number and it's not your primary mobile number, you can also have the option to have it SMS'd to you. But because we were talking about business profiles and business phone numbers, it makes sense to put your business landline, and then WhatsApp will call you on that. You set your business name, you tap on the menu and you click on profile settings, and that's where you can put in your catalog, your greetings, your quick replies, etc., and you're done. That's actually how you set up WhatsApp Business. So we'll open it up for questions if there is any later. But just before I leave you guys, I just want to talk quickly about an advanced messaging app. So one of the messaging tools that we use very often is Facebook Messenger. And the reason why is a fewfold. One, a lot of brands today have Facebook pages. And if you have a Facebook page, you can, without doing any advanced integration whatsoever, enable the Facebook Messenger button on your Facebook page. So you have the ability to, someone who's browsing your Facebook page, there's a little button that says contact me or call me, message me or message us. You click on that button and it opens up a business branded Facebook Messenger view. I'll show you what it looks like just now, which you can do today. It's quite easy to do. You have the ability also to do things like quick replies, etc. But what if you want something a little bit more? And the case study that I'm going to tell you about is a Facebook Messenger bot that we've built. It's about to be rolled out through the website, as well as to a couple of other interfaces. But basically, it's for a brand that pretty much every South African knows. We built a bot called Levi. We do give our bots personas because it gives them a little bit of a human element around what we are trying to do. And based on the technology that we used, it actually gives us a lot of functionality. So Levi was a bot, or is a bot, available on Facebook Messenger for Roman's Pizza. So you could go onto Facebook and you can search for Roman's Pizza as a brand. It'll come up with the Roman's Pizza page, and if you click the message button, you will be answered by or welcomed by Levi. Basically what it is a very feature-rich, natural language-enabled, sentiment-analyzed pizza bot that we built for Roman's Pizza over 2 years ago now, but it's been sort of ramping up in terms of its capability over the last 18 months. And the primary problem statement for Roman's was there was a high volume of customer queries. If you guys know much about the Roman's Pizza brand, they have franchise stores all over the country. Some franchise stores are open 24/7. And if, for example, you go to a store at 2 a.m., a 24/7 store at 2 a.m., and you find out that your pizza dough is raw, you want to complain to somebody. They were getting a lot of these specifically on weekends. The other thing is that the people that were responding to these queries were human bodies, the customer service staff, and they were stretched to capacity. They were waking up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning answering these queries. And then also, kind of went by the wayside sometimes that a message would come through on a Friday and get responded to by a Monday morning, which is not great customer service no matter which way you look at it. So what we did is we built a bot that's centered around IBM Watson. For those of you guys who don't know what Watson is IBM's artificial intelligence engine, which we as a company can leverage off. So we consume Watson, and we built Watson into the conversational element of Levi. It took us about 3 months of development time. We went live in December of 2018. At the moment, we do about 1,500 unique monthly users, and on a weekly basis, this thing is ramping up by about 33%. Without getting into any of the details, the project results for us was where we had some comments or questions not being responded to or being responded to in 6 to 8 hours, we now get everything answered immediately by Levi. Similarly, where we couldn't answer a basic question like where's my nearest branch, all of that now is automated. So more than 90% of the answers are automated. Where it can't be automated, we escalate it to a human based on certain parameters. Most importantly, what changed for the Roman's Pizza's customer service staff was the 50-50 work-life balance. And I think for them, they now have the ability to have weekends and have time out while Levi is busy doing it 24/7. So very quickly, a couple of screenshots. Here's a Roman's Pizza developed by Ocular for IBM. If you contact the page and you say hi, by the way, keep in mind I said natural language enabled, so it uses colloquialisms as well to try and drive the conversation. It takes your name from your Facebook profile. It says, hi Cobus, I'm Levi, your Roman's Pizza connoisseur. As an expert in matters of taste, you can ask me anything. Go ahead and try it. I said, where's my closest store? I can say, where's my nearest branch? Is there a branch near me? Is there a Roman's Pizza near me? So we built out all of these language entities, and it's quite a process, but we build out all of these language entities, and then IBM Watson does its magic and says, I think what the person is asking for is X. We then use that X and we build out a response. Where's my closest store? Roman's Pizza has branches in all 9 provinces. Share your location with me and I can direct you. Just by the way, depending on the device and depending on what version of Facebook Messenger you have on your device, send location has now been deactivated by Facebook. But back when it still had it, we could either say, send me your location, and that little pop-up comes up, says share location. Here we can see we're very close to St. Stithians in Sandton, and the nearest branches to there is Roman's Pizza in Ferndale, and there's a few others behind it. And if you click the little button that says call, it uses your phone mechanism on your mobile device, and it places a call to that branch. Keep in mind that Roman's Pizza for a very, very long time has been either a call and collect facility or a click and collect. In other words, you place your order and you go and collect it from a store. This is what we're actually doing now. Very recently, they've launched deliveries through Mr. D. So now you can actually place the order as well. And we are about to roll out the automated ordering through Levi. Also, if you click on the branch map, it'll give you directions using Google Map or Apple Maps or whatever you're using. And then also you can ask things like, what is your menu? Do you have any specials, etc. The reason why we would ask what branch you are or what area you're in. Certain areas have, for example, halal only. So if we know that you have asked about Lenasia, which is predominantly halal, we wouldn't give you things on the menu with ham and bacon, as an example. So there's a little bit of intelligence that is going on in the background. Levi is doing all of the heavy lifting for us, and we're just guiding it in what you need to do. Like I said, it's rich text and rich media. So this is a carousel that you can go left and right, and you can click, select what you want. Again, if the idea is that you want to look for a different branch, you can go back into the same conversation. Actually, you know what? I'm on my way to Pretoria. Can I find a store in Pretoria? And it'll go through that same process again. We also have built in some humor. We've loaded a few hundred pizza jokes. So I know everybody's going to try it when you go into Levi. First thing you should ask is tell me a joke, and you're guaranteed to get a little laugh out of it. So that's an advanced solution. That's something that took us months to build. We worked with the customer. We got the language. We got the persona, etc. but it's the next generation of digital messaging where we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting using automation and AI, and we're just providing a front end. The idea here is that we will then roll this out to Twitter, we will roll it out to Facebook, to WhatsApp and WeChat, and we will ultimately have it available on the website as well, so that essentially this is a digital employee for Roman's Pizza. Anything you want to ask about the brand, even down to, can I have a job? Liba will be the entity that you will be speaking to. That's it from me. Hopefully I've given you guys enough information. Obviously the presentation is going to be shared, but if you need to contact me, that's my detail.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tommy. Really, really interesting to see like all the capabilities and like just the evolution of chat SMS based communication. I mean, I had one question that was burning my head, but I guess I'll save it for the end if we have time. I know we have quite a few questions coming through. It's just that whole balance between like automation and also authenticity, very much having a personalized experience. But you also, I know for many small businesses, it's about, you have that, the person's face, the person behind the business. So how do you then maintain that sort of like that authenticity? Yeah. So it's a very, very interesting topic. I'd love to pick your brain more on that if we have time in the Q&A. But I know it is 1 minute past 1. So Andile, if you want to go ahead and share or take control on your side, I know you're also going to give us a walkthrough. Yeah, I know we're cutting a little bit into your time now. So feel free to take it away ASAP.
No problem, guys. Guys, thank you again for inviting me on this platform. There's a lot of information to take in, Liz always figured my cup is half empty, but wow, did I get something today. Pommy, this app Notion, I think we need to talk. Maybe I can twist your arm. But yeah, guys, I'm just going to go and immediately share my screen. And I really want Pommy to just share those pizza jokes. I think that's something that I could dive in. Okay, guys, my name is Andile. I'm a service delivery manager at EasyBiz. We distribute bookkeeping software. So as entrepreneurs, you've got a lot of insight in terms of marketing and chatbots and all these amazing stuff. So where I fit in the puzzle is, well, how do you manage your finances? Let's say we get everything running the way it should. We're getting all this business, everything is all good. But as entrepreneurs, what do we need at the end? We need reporting. We need a single platform where we've got live data to say how the business is running, right? And that's what I wanted to show you. So what you guys are seeing here is our QuickBooks Online solution. So this obviously online, meaning that you can work anywhere, right? Real time. So this is this platform is also available on your smartphone. So if you've got an iPhone, you can go to the iStores. If you got Android, we'd always go to the Play Store. So the idea around that is to be always in control of your finances. So I'm just gonna jump in and just give you an indication. So if I log in, me as the business owner, I can get to see how my business is running. So I've got a couple of widgets here I can fiddle around in. You can see my profit and loss, how am I doing this financial year? So it's not that bad. And I could have a look at insights on like what did I spend within the financial year. And obviously you can break it down from months, 30 days, etc. I also have a platform where I'm looking at any updated invoices or unpaid invoices that I need to focus on. Obviously, the idea is to secure the cash flow. On the right-hand side, I have plugged in my banking. So I've got an online bank and I've plugged into my online bookkeeping, which would make my life a little bit easier. So the idea now is making or conducting business in an easy fashion. So you could access this in any kind of laptop, and as said, on your phone again. So it's really as simple as clicking on the new button here, and then you would decide what transaction that you need to do. So it's as simple as I'm going to show you how to do quick quote, link it to an invoice, and then finally receive the payment. All right, so I will then do a quote here. As you can see, I can pick my customers. If I haven't created my customer, I could just say Tommy's going to be my favorite person now going forward. So Pommy and Co. How about that? Just the idea around this is to demonstrate how easy it is to just record a transaction on the fly if you want. So obviously, if I had Pommy's email address, I would slot that in there. But I'll select the date that the quote needs to go in. I can track via locations, which is very important. So, I mean, we're living in a digital world, so business can happen anywhere. So I could say, Nigel here, I'm going to create myself a new location, and I would then be able to quote out my products and services. So let's say Pommy wants 10 caps, and let's say a few pens, say 50 pens, and I can allocate these to classification. So this is all dependent on, obviously, I don't want to go in depth because I only have 20 minutes, but you can break down your transactions based on classes or categories if you want. Some people call them department codes. So I would then say, let's say this is material. And I would then save and close, or save and send it to my client. So I'm going to do that here quickly. And converting this to a quote, an invoice. So should Pommy then say, yes, I accept. I could always just process an invoice, select that said customer. The system will be able to pull up whatever that is linked to this customer. So I'm going to add this here. And this is now a situation where you have back orders. So they might have quoted 6,000 of all of the stuff that I'm giving, but maybe you're going to provide half of it or custom. So just to make things simple, we'll just say I'm converting the whole quote, and I can then convert the whole thing into an invoice. So let's just do our classifications here, put that here. And then, because we're speaking about WhatsApp, so in this platform, I would like to send my client the invoice via WhatsApp. So I could save and share that to my client. So I'm just going to use my personal email address so I can get that mail and show you what to do going forward. The idea of this is making sure that everybody pays in 30 days. Well, we would like for that to happen. So I'm going to send this. So it's opened my WhatsApp web, and I'm going to send it to one of these clients. I hope this person is not going to get annoyed. I did warn them. So I'm going to send them that invoice. So when sending that invoice, this is how my client is going to receive it. They're going to look at their WhatsApp and say, okay, I've got this invoice. And just by viewing the invoice itself, the system can then tell me, the person that sent the invoice, when it was viewed and how many times it was viewed. So it makes it a little bit easier for me. So as I demonstrate here, let's say I am that client and I've viewed my invoice. So if I then look at all of my transactions, right? So let's close this invoice and I go to all of my sales. I can track all of my invoices, those that have been viewed. I can, if you could see my statuses here, this is that invoice that I've just sent now. And if I click on this, it gives me an activity on as to how many times this invoice has been viewed, whether it has been paid or deposited. So let's look at a previous invoice that I did maybe some few hours back. I could see here in terms of the status, what happened. So we could see that it was opened at a certain time and it was paid, right? So these are maybe the innovative ways of making sure that you get paid on time. So what I also wanted to showcase is in the software, and it's dependent on how you set up your software to best suit your needs. It's always the small things that matter. So I'm just going to go to my account settings and show you the small thing that you can do to secure cash flow, make sure you get paid in a timely manner. So my favorite thing about the product is setting up automatic reminders. So I can send automatic reminders as follows. I could say reminder 1, let's turn that on. I want a reminder to be sent 7 days after the invoice is due. I can do it before but we always get like, you know your customers best. So you could set up a bunch of reminders there, and you could say I'd set up this, and I would then, this is now my other reminder. So automatically the system is able to pick up when an invoice is due and send it as per your reminders. That's one of the things that I wanted to show you. So it's reminders, setting up your reminders in your accounting software to make sure that once an invoice is sent, that person can see what they owe and pay in time, hopefully. The other one is the convenience of sending invoices via WhatsApp and knowing very well if they view the invoices, you yourself in the back end or in your system can see when the invoice was then paid. And to make things a little bit better or easier for yourself, you could link your online banking to your accounting software. So if I scroll down here, these are the transactions that has come through my banking, which would then make it easier for me to allocate these transactions to certain things. So I'll give you an example. I have an expenditure here by MultiChoice, and it's as simple as then sending it to dues and subscriptions. These are things that are in my chart of accounts, right? So I could put that in, and I can specify whether it's coming from a project or it's coming from a specific customer. So from here, I'll create my own class and say this is my admin. And here's the beauty of machine learning. So if I know this is going to happen every month, I can create a bank rule from this transaction and say it's always money going out, it's DSTV, and if the description contains MultiChoice, or you can have numerous descriptions, and you can code it to sit where you need it to be, and you can automatically add that. So the next time the transaction comes in, it will be allocated to the right general ledger account, making reporting accurate as possible. Now, what I like from the banking as well is that you may have sent an invoice to a client, but then let's say you've put in your banking details on an invoice and the client pays relatively around the same term. The system will pick up that I've found one invoice and would want to link the payment to the invoice. So there's no longer a guesswork or accounts receivable reconciliations. So I like that feature a lot. And if it's not that particular invoice, you can then say find other matches. So this is in the instance where you've invoiced two customers the same amount and they've paid, one of them paid, and you know it's relating to a certain invoice. There you can then open it up and match it to that said invoice, even if it's a partial payment. So I know that it is this invoice, and I've then collected my money successfully. So if I go to my invoices, there will be one invoice that is paid. So this is now the sheer ease of using the software. So I'm not recommending that you don't have an accountant, but the software is designed in such a way that as an entrepreneur, as soon as you click on one button, you know how to do your transactions accordingly. And you've plugged in banking. So another feature that I wanted to show you guys before I go into reporting is the projects. So in your QuickBooks, you have this feature called projects. So those that are doing job costing, some people call it job costing, or you've got a new project where you just want to allocate all the monies going in and out of that project and always track how you're doing. This is the product for you. So I can create a new project, but I already have one existing. So I've got a project called Project X. What is it? Brand X Enablement. And if I look at this project, I can look at all the transactions that have been captured relating to these projects. So you could see from quote to invoice. Now, obviously, there were some things that were happening at that point. I had to make purchase orders. There were billable costs that came into play, and my client actually made half payment. I can also look at time activities. So if I'm going to be doing subcontracting, so I'm going to hire Sony XMG, which does something, I can actually monitor the time here and charge it to the project. I could then finally look at the project profitability in terms of reporting. So if we look at that, it'll be able to tell me whether I'm making money on that specific project, right? And creating a project is as simple as this. Let's create a new project. Let's say right? And we could select a customer. So we're going to say QB offices, and we are doing stuff. So that is my project. Now, within that said project, I can then start adding transactions to that project and giving me relatively the same reporting that I had gotten from the one that was created. Now, this is all on transaction processing, right? So maybe you've got somebody in the admin taking care of that and you just want to see the performance. So there's two ways of looking at that. So you can make use of a report center where you can add your own new charts, but basically this would then display a few KPI metrics here to tell you how your business is going. We see here there's a little bit of ratios going on, so that will keep you on board all the time. Now you can create up to 25 of these charts, and you can break them down based on what you want to see. So if I wanted to see only revenue, for example, let's create that chart for you. So I'll click on continue, and I can break this down. I can break it down based on my projects, as I said. So I want to see how one of my projects is faring compared to the other, right? Or alternatively, I can break it down to my classes. I have numerous classes that I've broken down. I want to see how marketing is doing relative to marketing consumables that I also provide. And these are little widgets that you can set up and have further filtering if you want, based on maybe 2 locations if you want. So let's say you've got multiple locations. So you want to see how the business is running between, sorry, let me just scroll down when that happens, between Boksburg and Springs, we shall say. Let's add that. We could add this little dashboard so that on a monthly or on a daily basis, we can always have this and drill down to it. Right. Then if you wanted full reporting, I mean, obviously these are just graphs. I just want to show you what you would want to use as an entrepreneur to see your snapshot of the business. So this is another report that I like. This would basically focus on where the money is coming in, where you're spending it, who owes you, and who you owe. So for me, this is actually vital in keeping all of my fares on par. So you can see here, I still need to collect monies from a certain project, from Skinny Spoo, and maybe some other invoices, and I still owe Fear Factors Industry a lot of money. So this is what would then make your life a little bit easier in terms of monitoring your finances. Now, that being said, we are on an online platform, right? And we are the entrepreneurs. So the product that I'm using now to demonstrate is an accountant's version of this, meaning that I am the accountant servicing my Plus suppliers. So if you do have an accountant, we also then do some sort of collaboration. So as the accountant, they are logging in as an accountant and you are going to be logging in as an end user. So if you do have an accountant, please make sure that you do have a chat to them about QuickBooks Online and how you can collaborate with the accountant to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row in terms of statutory compliance. Right, so with a demo, it's always short, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have any slides, but what I wanted to do is post a link on the chat. So for those that maybe want more information regarding what what kind of product will suit them, I'm gonna send you a link right now, guys. You can just feel free to copy the link. And you're not buying into anything. You're just going in and saying, I want, okay, here's my name, here's my email. I want to discuss further what product I should select in terms of QuickBooks and how it can help my business. Right. And that's me, guys. I believe I'm done. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you really need to chat with me further, let's open up that discussion.
Thanks so much, Andile. Yeah, fascinating to see. It's been, I mean, I know it's quite a little bit of a change from talking about like these digital social media marketing tools, and here suddenly we jump to the business side. But like you said in the intro, it's so important to have, have your hands on this sort of thing and being able to control the back end, your invoices and the money, because otherwise, how are you going to actually, especially if you're going to not be using free versions of things, how are you actually going to fund this and make sure that and track it and make sure that's all working? So thank you so much for that. And I saw that Sibu was also very, very much interested into QuickBooks there. So now we're going to quickly move into the Q&A session. So let me just take back control from you, and then we'll get into it. I saw that, Jacobus, you were the first one, and I did promise you that we would answer your question first. So I think this is more actually your realm. So what separates Hootsuite from some of its competitors like Buffer.com or, for instance, Later?
Good question. And I'm probably going to be a bad salesperson by saying this, but at the end of the day, all the platforms, whether it's Buffer, Later, Vulcan, Sprout, no matter what you use, if all you want to do is publish, engage, and do basic reporting, every platform will be able to do that. So it's great. So if you're currently using Buffer, amazing, that's great. If you're using something else, that's amazing as well. So at the core, those core features will be available across everything. Where the competitive differentiative comes through is what are those extra add-ons? So for instance, Buffer, how big are the development team? Are they able to, at a snap of a finger, integrate new feature updates that maybe Facebook has just launched? Do they have the budget as well to be able to afford those kind of APIs? And API is just basically like a complicated way of saying the code, the string of code behind a social network. So when it comes to who's better, it's basically what you're looking for. Are you looking for the latest updates, the fancy features, or do you just want to do the ABCs of posting? Because if it's ABCs, anything works. If you want to get more nitty-gritty, like for Hootsuite, for instance, Hootsuite has a very strong ecosystem, which means we can plug and integrate with almost anything. I think we can actually integrate with QuickBooks or Xero as well, FreshBooks as well. So for instance, there's so many different apps that Hootsuite can integrate in. So if you want your full ecosystem, Hootsuite will be great. But if you just want to do your ABCs, you can still use Buffer.
Okay, and I mean, on that topic, is it, for instance, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know, for instance, does Hootsuite it has a free version, right, for anyone that wants to get involved? At what point do you realize, and I mean, I guess this also goes into anything, all the digital platforms, it is, the more you need it, the more you'll pay, but the more functionality and tools you'll get. At what point in a business, do you think it becomes necessary to start upgrading and start actually looking at more advanced capabilities? So should the person who's just started the business in the morning, should they jump straight onto that, or is there a certain threshold that they should be considering? And I guess this is for all three of you.
It's a really good question. From a Hootsuite side, I recommend, especially after this year with the pandemic, I recommend starting with as many free tools as you can use, to be honest. So again, being a bad salesperson, but I really feel like it's less risk for the business owner. Start with a free tool. Once you're getting the most value out of the free tool, you've learned how to use it and all of that information around it, then I think it'll be a good idea to look at upgrading. A lot of times the platforms like Hootsuite as well, some of the limitations with a package is according to how many social profiles you want connected to the technology and users. So for the free trial, if you're one user and you've got like 10 social networks, perfect, use that. But as the business scales and you maybe have a team of 10 people and maybe you have, 20 social networks, then you'll need to upgrade to a bigger package and start paying for that. But the free trial is great to stay on. And actually, not to kind of take it away from the other speakers, but I think in most cases, a free trial for business owner is a good way to learn about the platform.
For sure. Pommy, I don't know if you want to expand. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. WhatsApp or business WhatsApp is, like I said, free to download. But at what point should we start looking at, for instance, more personalized interactions like what you've done with Roman's Pizza at stepping up and scaling up your solution?
I think it all speaks to volume. The first thing around WhatsApp Business is every business should have one. Whether you're starting out, you've just opened up your doors. The credibility that you get with having a business profile is tantamount to money walking into your door. And the ultimate aim, if you do it correctly, is to enhance your sales and increase your revenue. And that can then start paying for the more advanced stuff that you want to do. So I think everybody should have a WhatsApp Business account if they have a business. whether it's an entrepreneur, SME, or an enterprise or corporate. They should have that. And then the volume is where it starts coming into its own in terms of some of the automation, some of the IBM Watson type stuff, and there's a couple of other products that you could use. You know, when it comes to the capabilities that you can now do with automation, we can log motor vehicle accident claims via WhatsApp. You can take your pictures of the accident scene. We now have AI that will identify not just the vehicle make, model, color in the photograph, but we can also tell you in a moving video, you know, how old the person is standing next to the car and of what denomination they come from. And this is all running with AI in the background. So imagine if you met up in an accident with your vehicle, and the only thing you do is take a panned video of the accident site and you submit it via WhatsApp, and it processes your claim for you. With the vehicle, it gives you the location automatically. It tells you who other parties are in it, and then all you need to do from a bot perspective is identify the details. But at that point in time, 2 minutes after your accidents happen, you've already logged your claim. So those are some of the more advanced things, and we try to speak to customers about what their capability is. We've built bots for rental cars. We've built bots for, like you see, pizza and fast food. We're in the process of building one for one of the coffee providers. So the idea is, what is it that you want to achieve? If all you want to do is presence, or get a WhatsApp business account. It's the easiest and quickest thing for you to do.
And Andile, for your side on Intuit QuickBooks, correct me if wrong, is there like also a free thing? And then is it enough for a business owner, like a sole proprietor? Or do you know, if you're like when talking about the amount of people you're dealing with or the amount of sales you're running with, actually just the quantities, what's your take?
So there is a 30-day trial we've got 3 types of products that suit all SMEs. So I think what I was maybe demonstrating was maybe when you got to a point where you're at that level where there's a lot of data going on. I mean, we cater for straight from just, you know, sole proprietor, individual, you know, you're just rendering a service, all the way to almost mid-market, because now there's a lot of apps that you can then plug in. So I always envision in my world, if I started a business, depending on, I want my word to get out there. So I'm selling socks. I'll definitely use Hootsuite. All right. I just need that communication to go out there. I would also maybe need some AI to then speak to say there's a chatbot, because I don't necessarily have an admin person answering the phone. But what I could advise on entrepreneurs and apps and cloud solutions is, you always want to be in a data-driven situation. You can't just buy everything, right? So something needs to mean, okay, if I buy this, forget about the price a little bit. What's the value am I deriving from that? I could tell you the accounting where the value is, because one of the fundamental things that entrepreneurs struggle with is funding. And the funding providers will always ask you, what are your financials looking like? And now I've got to now go buy or get an accountant to make some report where, why don't I give you something that you can access on your phone or your any kind of laptop, and you just record your transactions, you plug into banking, it creates those reports, it makes life a little bit easier. So I'd say try it out first, try it out. We're always going to be there. Use that link, have a discussion about business and everything, and see where we can help you.
Awesome. Thanks, Andile. We got about maybe a minute, 45 seconds to go. Does anyone else, any of the other attendees have any questions? If I have mistakenly not seen your question and you want more clarity, please quickly type it in there. We'll give you a little bit of time. In the meantime, otherwise, I have just that one burning question is like, this one's mainly for you, Pommy, about that whole authenticity versus automation, and you know, both sides have such strong pull factors. But do you find that, you know, especially when it comes to smaller business owners, that you know, you can balance these two things quite easily? Do people tend to have a preference for, like, you know, I'd rather just do it old school and go and physically do it myself?
I think the best answer to that is there's nothing worse than a bad automated response. You know, whether it's via voice, whether it's on a website. You know, we have customers, large corporate customers, who I won't mention their names, but come test drive our vehicle, give us your details, and in 9 days' time, nobody contacts you, right? So what type of service are you offering? That's a bad automated response. It's a non-automated response. Nothing's coming through. So if you decide to do the automation thing, make sure you give it to somebody that knows what they're doing. And then, as we did with Levi, we made it very personal, to the point, and this is not a word of a lie. I've got some of my team on this call. We have people that are flirting with Levi, like actively flirting and thinking that it's a human on the other side. So we now know after that we've built a good bot. It's personal, it's got a persona, it's anthropomorphic, it seems human, and it's also giving the correct information. So that's one of the things I think is really, really important when you're going down the automation route. But for contactability, there's nothing better than having the ability to contact your brand. If you're going to put a WhatsApp button on your website, make sure that if someone clicks it, it goes somewhere. It must go to a device or a person that is actually monitoring. If it's going to an automated solution, make sure the automated solution is built in. So I think for us, contactability is really, really important. Consistency is key. And if you're going down the automation route, make sure that's good. Don't do a bad one.
Well said. And I think we can use that as a benchmark from now on for any sort of automated chatbot, is that if it gets flirted with, you're in the green, you've done well.
Absolutely. Waiting for a wedding proposal.
Please, I hope I'm invited. I know we haven't never met these people or the chatbot, but yeah, I feel like I'm invested in the story now. I know we're now 1 minute past, but 30 seconds. I've seen Anopa. Thank you so much for all your engagement today. And he's just had one question that I'd just like to humor him for. So your best advice for an e-commerce startup, 10 seconds. Ashley.
I would say have your brand strategy first thing. Before you start looking at technology, do you know what your brand is supposed to do? Yeah, brand strategy.
And once you've got your brand strategy, don't hesitate, automate.
And that automation must link to an accounting system to get your reports right.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, I think that we're going to wrap it up. I know we've gone 2 minutes over. Thank you so much to everyone who's been here for this session, also for workshops 1, 2, and 3 before this. Thank you so much for everyone who's been on the journey with us. It's been an absolute pleasure putting it together. I've met so many interesting people, networked with so many interesting people, and gotten the opportunity to learn some fascinating things. Ashley, Pommy, Andile, thank you so much for making the time. I know, again, this is a free workshop, and you've really given us such valuable insight at a time of year when you are inundated with things that are, you want to get on leave, you want to go on holiday, you just want to relax, you don't want to have to go and work with the brain and present at a workshop to people in December when we're literally not even 20 days from Christmas. So thank you so much for all your time. I really, really do appreciate it. We will, like I said, be uploading a recording of this to YouTube, and we'll send you all the link when it's up there and ready. So if you've forgotten anything, don't worry about it. We've got you. And if you have any questions that pop up tonight, like with me, I think the best when I'm in the shower, feel free to send us an email to virtual@theloudhailer.org, and we will send through any questions you may have. Also, please, I encourage you, if you want to get in touch, let us know. We're happy to help connect you. Like Andile said, there's a link for you if you want to get in touch with EasyBizTech. Literally anything you need, we're here for you until we go on leave for Christmas and the New Year. So I'm not going to keep anyone else. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time for the next program that we do in the future. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.